Your old or broken phone can let you down, but at Verizon, trade in any old phone from our top brands and get iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence with a new line on My Plan and iPad and Apple Watch Series 10. After all, you don't want your old phone to die on you when you're lost.
Perfect.
Or for your broken phone to glitch at the worst possible time.
Hey, can I get your number? Oh.
Trade in your old phone for a brand new iPhone 16 Pro, iPad, and Apple Watch. Visit Verizon.com today. Additional terms apply. Service plan required for Apple Watch and iPad.
All you homeowners have unique needs. Some feel the need to leave up holiday decorations year-round. Others have the need to use their garage as practice space for their new metal band. And because each homeowner has unique needs, Geico helps you get the right coverage for your home and what's in it. That way, you get exactly what's right for you, even if your needs are unique. Get more with Geico.
Welcome to Come On Talk, a no facts, all feelings wrestling podcast on the Social Suplex Network. I'm Allie.
I'm Ann.
And I'm Leah.
How are my girls doing this week?
Is this our last episode in February?
It'll come out in February. Yeah.
But then we still have to record another on the last day of February? Could that be right?
Second to last, because we're recording on Friday this week.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, should we do our leave it all on the field exercise?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be good. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay. That'll bring us out of whatever's been happening for the past couple of weeks.
That last month of meteorological winter is going to be behind us. And I said that word really weird, I think.
You know what? Who knows what you said? And who cares? You sounded amazing to me, Ann.
Thank you so much. Hype
You're welcome.
Zone.
Hype
This is a place of support.
It's been a rough one. I'd like to thank the lovely listener who left a comment for us on YouTube congratulating me on continuing to slog through the Minnesota winter. Thank you. I needed your support this week. I got genuinely emotional when I read it. I said, "Wow, I am a brave warrior for continuing to be alive under these conditions." And you guys, how your winter? Feel good?
Yeah. Just ducky, as I say.
Couldn't be better. And my brother had got me a VR headset for Christmas, which is like so fun and cool, except I keep giving myself weird injuries because I'm like having too good a time in there. Like, so that sounded weird, but
no, I the way I interpreted it was like, yes, she doesn't want to be in the reality of winter, so she goes into the VR world where something else is possible.
Right. And then the next day I'm like, why is my arm so sore? And then it's like, because you spent last night working in like a stressful and poorly run sandwich shop for some reason. And like, because this VR, like if you're playing a video game, like you just push the buttons normal, but in VR, you're like, you're grabbing a ketchup bottle and you're pressing buttons on the headset, but you're thinking in your mind that you're actually grabbing it and then you're squeezing it and then your hand feels weird.
When you describe this, and I'm just like, okay, so she's like working part-time at a sandwich shop.
Yeah, I mean, it's a game. It's, it's a stressful, high-pressure environment, and you've got to make the sandwiches
she
right.
She doesn't even get paid for this,
huh? No, it's all for free. That's just a service I provide to some VR animals.
At a poorly run.
That's right, I'm a volunteer. Kind of a soup kitchen, if you will.
Really makes you think just about the concept of games.
Yeah.
Amazing. Leah, any exciting games you've been playing or updates from your life?
I hung out with my baby nephew last weekend. He's really great. I got to feed him, and that was really fun. My little brother, who is the chillest, like, easiest peacemaker brother of my family, is a total lunatic and hovered about 30 inches away from me at all times.
So stressed out.
Hold the bottle differently.
Well, Leah, you have to be careful of those air bubbles. Those delicate little systems.
my other brother, who had resolutely said that he wasn't going to hold the baby until he said that, like, in his own words, until he can manage his own neck, was bullied.
Yes.
What? Do you agree with that?
I was just agreeing. That's the number one comment I have about babies when they come out. Is I'm just like, this is so fucked up that they have no neck control. And then you're putting them in my arms and I'm holding them like, I've held some real fresh baked ones. And it's like, and so now I'm responsible for this. I don't know.
Well, my oldest brother was like, he finally got bullied into holding the baby, but it was very funny because I knew that he hadn't been around like a ton of babies, but I didn't realize how much. And he was like, he was so tense. And of course, the baby's dad is an anxiety wreck, so he kept leaning over to like adjust the baby. And so my brother kept being like, what is it? Am I doing it wrong? No, you're fine. And then at one point, Henry made like a little like sleep grunt, and Jimmy went, is he supposed to do that? Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
It's hard to gain confidence under those conditions, you know?
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. You need he needed to for his first baby holding, it should have been like the third child where they're just like, yeah, throw him down, it's fine.
Yeah. Like where you could just like throw him like a football and nobody cares.
Yeah. Right.
Like, oh, he'll be fine. They're very, very resilient, it turns out. Amazing. I love that for you.
Yeah.
I wish I were seeing a little fresh baked baby. But I'm going to see a slightly older. I'm going to a little baby birthday party tomorrow, so.
Oh, nice.
I'll see a baby, okay?
How old's the baby going to be?
That you've really put me on the spot and I'm having to remember, but 2. Surely 2. Certainly 2.
I was about to say, wow, that is bad baby ontohood. You don't even know how baked it is.
It's hard to remember. Time doesn't pass the way it once did,
No.
I missed a call from my mother today, so I called her back right away, and she answered in this, like, hush. She was like, hello? And I was like, what's happening over there? And it turned out she was just at her watercolor class, but I was like, did you just call me? And she was like, oh, I was waiting for a call from Janet. Don't know who Janet is. And then I saw you in my call log from Sunday, and I thought, did I talk to her? And so I was thinking about it, and then I guess I just accidentally called you. And I was like, well, yeah, we talked on Sunday. You called to ask if you should buy a hat for me, and I told you how big my head is and that it probably wouldn't fit, but you still bought the hat. And she said, that was Sunday? And I was like, yeah, that really sums it up. Like, she really sounded like, what are you saying to me? And I said, totally. That was Sunday.
Yeah. And I think the winter weather has not been helping my sense of where time is. It's just not a good situation.
Your thing about, like, Janet, don't know who that is. The number one way I get in trouble with my mother is that my mother loves to tell a story that's like, so I was in the grocery store and I ran into Donna. You remember Donna. And if I say no, she'll be like, yes, you do. You went to kindergarten with her niece. Come on. You used to walk her dog. Like, and she'll just keep going. And I'm like, I have no memory of this place. And she'll be like, come on. So at some point, like 10 years ago, every time she says, do you remember? I say yes. And
You have no choice.
recently she caught me and was like, wait a minute, that was Jimmy. You don't know this person. And so now, like, it's like a protracted thing where she'll be like, and you remember Billy? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, do you? Or are you messing with me?
Like, why is she so concerned? It's like, just let it be, you know? Maybe I remember, maybe I don't. It's definitely not relevant.
It's because the story is always about something completely different than my personal experience with this person. It's not enriched.
My God.
Thank God my parents don't listen to this podcast. Otherwise, I'd be in more trouble. And nobody tell them.
I'm just getting your mom's number, sending her a little link, like, check this out.
Oh, Anne, you little suck-up teacher's pet. You say, I'm going to win a couple of brownie points with Leah's mom by turning her in.
They actually have a podcast magnet on their fridge, but at one point early on, my mom was like, can I listen to your podcast? And I was like, no. And she was like, why not? And I was like, because it's grossly inappropriate. And she was like, you think that I'm naive? I can tell the dirty jokes. And I was like, not for me. You can't listen to me make them. And so actually, if she did get a text message to you with a link, she would be like, I promised her I won't listen.
It's good that she meant it, though. It's good that she really doesn't tune in.
It is nice. It is nice. She makes digs every once in a while. Like somebody will be like, oh, what's that magnet? And she's like, it's my daughter's podcast, but she won't let me listen.
That's almost more interesting than reporting on the dumb shit we actually say.
I think she does like the drama. It's like, because she gets permission not to listen, but also gets to make a case out of it.
You remember my daughter's podcast I'm not allowed to listen to. All right. On that note, let's actually talk about some wrestling. We went down under this past week. Does anyone have any general thoughts on, I didn't put this on the schedule, but I just thought I'd throw it out there. Anyway, any general thoughts on AEW Grand Slam Collision, Brisbane, Australia?
It was a really fun show. The crowd was really hot, and I had a good time watching it.
Yeah, absolutely. I watched it without you guys because I had to go to see my nephew, and so I wasn't around the Sunday we're gonna watch it. And so like I had Max on because I was like, maybe I'll start watching it Saturday, and it like everybody like was like it's gonna start at 10:30 or whatever it was, and I turned it on, and it was like 45 minutes later that it actually started. So I was a little bit like, does nobody want me to actually watch this show? But it was great.
Wasn't it advertised as like it'll be on like when basketball ends or something?
Yeah. But then like somebody like one of our Discords was like blah 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 says that it's scheduled for 9:30 or whatever, and so that's when I turned on Max. But I think there was some kind of like, I'm going to sound stupid. Something happened with the basketball that made it start even later than it should have.
I love sitting here thinking about things that could have happened with the basketball. And I'm kind of imagining, what was that thing when all the balls were deflated for the Patriots or something?
Deflategate.
Deflategate. Yeah. Now I'm like imagining there was some kind of Deflategate situation.
I've seen clips where once a bat got into the basketball arena, my boss sent this to me after my bat adventure, and they had to stop the whole game and I think this sounds like I'm describing a dream I had, but I swear it was true. The mascot was a bat and had a bat net and ran around catching
made up for
real
sure.
bat.
Yeah.
Totally made up.
It might not have been a bat mascot. It might have just been the regular mascot. But the regular mascot had like a net.
Wings?
And
had a net. A butterfly
to catch the bat in. And he did catch it, and everyone was super duper psyched about it.
Oh, but the mascot didn't usually have a net.
No, I think he got it
just
for the bat.
Okay, yeah. I did think, I was like, oh my gosh, the mascot just always has a net and then happened to get to use it. That's so fun.
Yeah. It was a very fun clip. People were really, entertained in the arena. So, and then at one point, once it was caught and in the net, like a basketball player went over and got kind of close, like to look at it. And the announcer was like, don't get too close. It could have rabies. And I was like, I know, man.
Such a good point.
Tell me about
it. It's true. Wow. I love that story. What are we talking about?
Wrestling, I think.
When Collision started, or not Collision, when Grand Slam, the
Collision
event.
Please do not insult the entire country of Australia by calling it Collision, because I think that's a deadly offense.
Like, we can't get into all of that, but I thought it was a really fun show.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
It was a great time.
Yeah, great matches, really.
And for a show where there was there wasn't any promos, right? It was mostly matches.
There was like one or two, but yeah.
And for the fact that we loved it despite very little nonsense. Come on.
Yeah.
It was a great show.
Yeah.
Good job. Good job, AEW, and good job, Australia. You were a wonderful crowd.
Yeah, really was.
Thank you, Brisbane. Let's talk about some stuff that happened there. Adam Copeland and Jay White fought Mox and Claudio, and the crowd knew all the lyrics to Adam Copeland's theme song, which I think astonished we didn't know that was possible.
Do they usually do that? I don't think so. Do people usually sing the Copes?
No, they might a little bit, but it's like playing so loud, like you can't tell. You can't tell the way that you can tell with Judas. I feel like,
but that's the thing. I had a complete disorientation. I'm like, have we been Judasing to Adam Copeland's song this whole time, and I just never noticed?
I don't think so. I don't think that any American crowds have given him that treatment, which then I was sitting there like, does Adam Copeland have some kind of special relationship with Australians that I don't know about? Like, I understand that he's very famous from WWE, and WWE has been big for a long time, but it's like, surely that's equally true in both countries. So do they love him especially a lot? And why?
And why? And Australia, submit an essay and explain your reasoning.
What if they're really into Percy Jackson?
Maybe that must be it, and that's why they know his whole theme song.
I think that's where most people know him from. Yeah,
that's gotta be it. I think it was a pretty normal match. There was a certain amount of prop work. Was it a special match? Was it a street fight?
Yeah, it was a Brisbane
street fight.
Brawl?
Brisbane Brawl. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that explains it. All right. Mox ended up choking Cope until he passed out, and then kept choking him until he woke back up, which I don't think is how passing out works, but that's what happened at the end of the match. I think we have discussed this before. Where does passing out fall on the manliness spectrum?
Above getting pinned, because it's not your fault.
Except it feels so backwards to me, because it's like, it's manlier to pass out.
You can't move.
And your stupid body gave out on you, your little weak passer-outer.
But the men informed us that it's way manlier to say, like, I fought until my body gave out versus, like, I think submitting is the worst. Getting pinned is the second worst, and passing out is the best way to lose.
So getting pinned is, I'm like worried about that. I'm like, you're gonna have to cut this so nobody knows that I'm saying this. But like, getting pinned is kind of like a specific position.
Yeah, it's when their shoulders are held to the mat. A specific position. Yeah, it's a position, like missionary. It's the pin position, yeah.
Okay, I know that. I just had a moment where I like couldn't process. I'm like, okay, well, maybe he didn't get pinned on back, but he still got like pretty much pinned. You know what I mean? Like, it's like he couldn't move. So it's
he couldn't get out of what Mox was doing to him.
It's kind of like, what's the difference? Like, is there something I don't,
Every time we talk about this, I feel like I just can't access masculinity.
I know, I never will. I think when you pass out, it's like, the win-loss record says loss by referee decision. It's like not you got pinned. It's you lost by referee decision. In some way, that's better.
That just seems so foolish and wrong to me. Like, it's like, it just seems like the same thing. Like, pretty much the same thing to me.
Yeah, a loss is a loss is a loss.
It's like, it's actually kind of worse, because it's like he didn't just get, like, held down for 3 count. He got held down for, like, 50 count. You know? It's like, he was really weak.
And then the doctor had to come out to help him. It's like getting sent to the nurse's office isn't cool.
Yeah, no, of course, I think passing out is like, I'm like, okay, you're a Victorian woman and you use smelling salts.
Bring this.
Oh, my corset's too tight.
I wish that someone would do that and they would bring out a full fainting couch and gently lift him onto the fainting couch and waft the smelling salts under his nose, and then the wrestler would awake with a start.
We should do that. We should do that on our pumps. I bet it would go over very well.
Yeah.
Our fainting pump.
Our fainting pump. Where we just do nothing but passing out matches.
Can we get them in some like Regency gowns for it too?
We should definitely have a Regency pump where they have to, each of them wears a gown, and then they wrestle until one of them faints because of the corset that they're wearing.
And they have to have like a little kerchief that they wave before they go down.
Yeah. And they have to make that noise, yeah.
And the referee brandishes smelling salts.
Oh my God. I wish I were watching the fainting pump right now. I'm going to be parked there like Trish is parked by the Kenny Omega pump.
Yes.
Did you guys know that hockey players use smelling salts regularly?
No.
Why?
I learned that recently. Because I watched a video of a hockey player making very funny faces as he smelled the salts.
Why did they smell them?
In some way, it makes them feel pepped up. Gives them a little jolt.
I guess that if they're getting like super sleepy during their
they just take a little. And then they're
like, I don't think anyone should be getting sleepy during a hockey game. To me, that sounds like maybe they have a head injury.
Yeah. That seems like a like a symptom.
Like, it's really loud in there. There's a big crowd. There's a lot of excitement.
I think it's like the hockey version of like when you like put the ginger in the horse's butt to give him a little pep.
So it's like our players are looking so worn down and haggard, but we want to sell them as young, frisky stallions. So we wave smelling salts under their noses during the game.
It's crazy.
They do it before a trade.
I'll share the little video later.
Oh my God. Okay, I can't wait to see that. Wow. Well, we've learned a lot, and everyone's learned a lot about.
Do you think we're doing really good about talking about wrestling?
No.
Yeah.
And we're 20
By
minutes into our podcast.
We don't want to. It's a classic Friday night recording sesh. Oh my God, I can't wait to take my NyQuil after this. Okay.
So you need some smelling salts right now to improve your performance during the pod.
I really do. I have this candle, this beautiful, Persian lime candle burning.
Should we start like keeping nice smelling things around us so if we get a little tired, we like
Get a little pep. I did Google it, and it's like hockey players use smelling salts to increase alertness and focus during games. They may also believe they can help with fatigue. However, the effects are short-lived, and there's no scientific evidence that they improve performance.
Oh, so it's just a little superstition that they have.
Pretty
so
much,
actually,
yeah.
though, that makes it sound like maybe a little gingy in the butt would be better.
Yeah,
Or-
maybe they should look at that.
The other place you can put the ginger is just on the inside of your lip. And that's also, there's a lot of nerve endings there. So that might be more appropriate for a stadium setting.
Well, I was just thinking, like, it's more practical also because they wear all those pads. It's hard to get in
true.
there.
It's
So.
Get in there on the
They're-
fly. That's
yeah.
so true.
They're all there in the box, and one of them, they're having to get undressed while their buddy helps them out. Yeah.
Just imagining if they set up a special, this should all be censored. If they set up
just have a beep that like goes for 5 full minutes.
if they set up a special like changing room stable basically off the rink, so it's like you're on the side on your bench, and then it's like, God, I'm so sleepy, I might need a little gingy, and so you're like, Coach, I'm just gonna go to the stable, and that's private in there. What you do in there is your business.
I think we got to get in touch with whoever's running hockey. We've got some great ideas.
Call the commissioner. Yeah.
Oh
Get
my
on the
God,
red
Ann,
phone.
They do have a commissioner. God, that was really sportsy of you.
Thanks so much. Yeah.
Wowie zowie. It used to be Gary Bettman?
Where the hell did you
Where-
pull that from?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's right. I have approximate knowledge of many things. And probably
It'd be
it's
funny if
wrong.
you just made up a name. If you were like, it's probably Gary Bettman, we'd be so impressed and you could get away with it
She could
forever.
guess at us.
I know,
Yeah.
Of course, we all know.
Like, I know if I made it up, it could be totally
No, Gary Bettman is the commissioner of the NHL. Good God, Allie. That's alarming.
It's not, it's like, you just get exposed to stuff, and it's not what any of us prefer. We don't want to know things. We don't want, and usually I don't, but sometimes you know one thing.
Wow.
Anyway.
I'm just going to be processing the fact that you knew that for
Well, anyway.
weeks, probably.
Let's move on. Okay, what are we talking about? On Dynamite, Marina Shafir attacked Willow. We've forwarded time.
Okay, away from the stables, the ginger and the hockey
right.
butts, Gary Bettman.
Girls, let's get serious.
This ginger, enough hockey. Enough of my beautiful Persian lime candle. I'm overheated now, so I've had to throw my blanket
Oh
off,
yeah,
even though
we
I've been
forgot
freezing all day.
to even say, for some reason, all three of us turned up to this recording all wearing green hoodies for some reason.
Yeah.
Green
I
sweatshirts.
said
We
we're
look
like
beautiful.
I said we're like the 3 leaves of a clover, which I thought was quite sweet, and Anne said not a lucky one.
Yeah, she sure got us.
It's been so cold in my house because of the sub-zero temperature. Still don't want to talk about wrestling. That all day long. I was wearing socks and slippers, and I usually run fairly hot. My toes keep freezing Reynolds style, and I have to put rice sock in the microwave and get the rice sock hot and then just like toast the toes to try and bring feeling back. And it doesn't come back as quickly as you might think it will.
No.
Wow. I know you know about this, Anne. I mean, I'm complaining I shouldn't complain because you get it more than I do.
Cold hand and foot professional, yeah.
In fact, I'm sorry. But in fairness, your temperatures aren't sub-zero right now, so that's good for you.
Yeah, it's a lot better. When I used to live in Wisconsin, I owned battery-powered slippers to try to keep those feet toasty, and still losing battle, but you do what you can.
I needed those today.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Gary Bettman?
Okay. Fast forward to Dynamite. Get away from the stables. Get away from Gary. I don't know. He has no place on this podcast. On Dynamite, Marina Shafir attacked Willow Nightingale mid-backstage promo, and Mox subsequently commandeered the camera crew and had them follow him out for an in-ring promo in which I think he just said, "I own all the seats in this building, and Adam Copeland, you will never take them from me." And Jay White came out. He heard that, and he was like, whoa. And he came out, and he was closely followed by Pac. So he was surrounded by 5 men, but he didn't look concerned. And that's because then Adam Copeland's music hit, and everyone was looking around like, where's Cope? And he was behind Mox, which is where men always are. So it's like you should look behind you first. And Cope attacked Mox, and violence ensued, and Mox eventually turned tail and ran, and Cope pursued him through the crowd with his bat that he got. He was just storing his precious bat under the ring, I guess. And he pursued him through the crowd, and he cut a response promo in which he said that Mox lives in a hotel, a hostel, or under a bridge, and doesn't own any chairs at all, let alone stadiums. And they will fight at Revolution. Oh, and he said he's going to work through all of the Death Riders before Revolution so that Mox can't cheat to win. What do you think?
This was a real promo that kind of sums up the Death Riders to me because it's like, wait, what are you fighting about? What are you fighting about? What's going on here? Who owns the stadium? Okay. When Cope said hotel, hostel, or under a bridge somewhere, I was like, under a bridge, that's Darby. So hostel, hotel, hostel. What's going on?
I immediately
Eli Roth reference, perhaps.
I immediately got hotel, motel, holiday Inn in my head for like the rest of the night.
Fuck Leah, that's it for me. That's going to be there all weekend. Yeah, I don't know what they're fighting about. I don't know.
No idea. And I understand because the crowd is rooting for Cope that we're supposed to root for Cope. But I was just like, is things going to be better under your rule? I don't think that they are. Like, at least under Jay White's thumb, we would all at least be having fun.
I'd love to be under Jay White's thumb.
Yeah.
And I feel like this story, it's like, it's not even like infuriating me, but it's like, I can't even like think about it because it's so boring. It's just like, what's happening? I can't care about that.
No.
So
It's kind of like when you walk into a room and your like roommate is watching a drama you've never heard of and you're like, what are they all mad about?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I just came in for a snack.
You decide not to sit down and it's not that thing where you linger and you're like, oh, wait, who's he? Like, you're just like, okay, well, I'll go back to my room. I don't have.
This show seems high-strung. I don't know.
It's really very damning that in this moment I'm like, oh, I wish we were still talking about that ginger staple.
It really is like, guys, we just have to get through this Death Rider segment, then we can talk about, enjoy the rest of it.
There's so many fun things after this that we're going to talk about, but like we have to get through this, which I think is how people felt about the beginnings of the Adam Cole MJF title stuff. That remember when we really liked it and people were like, this is terrible. At least, like, they were really mean about it. We're really polite about it.
Yeah, we're so friendly. Nice.
But also, I'm like, that was better.
It was
At least you knew what everybody was standing for.
Yeah, it was like they were forming a friendship. I understood that. Now I don't know what's going on. I truly still am just like, there's no reason that Adam Copeland should be involved in this.
No.
Like, if we look at the story that has, rolled out on screen, there's no reason Adam Copeland should be involved. I don't think there's really any reason that he should be aligned with Jay White right now. And I did realize while I was doing the schedule, I was like, oh, and FTR were there, but now they're gone.
Yeah.
I don't want them to come back. Don't get me wrong. But it is strange.
Yeah, they did get dismissed for some reason.
There's been like a certain amount of pivoting lately that like I'm not complaining about because it's been a net positive, but it's like suddenly FTR and Jeff Jarrett have both disappeared with no explanation, which is like, again, not a complaint. I am very pleased about it, but it's
cool,
like,
but
okay.
it makes me, I want to know that they won't return suddenly.
Yeah,
you know, it's
right.
like I feel scared.
I know.
They're
And it's like Jeff Jarrett and his guitar waiting around every corner.
It is the only reason that Cope has given us that he's mad at Mox is that Mox beat up the Rock and Roll Express. Is that still all that's happening?
That was the to use an industry term, the inciting incident. Yes. But now I think he thinks that Mox is disrespectful of him as an elderly.
Kid.
Kind of the number one plot line of AEW. It's
But
just
that's one of those things where I'm
increasingly
like,
older
yeah.
men being like, "Don't you talk back to me, Sonny."
But that's like a guaranteed way to be like, okay, great, now I think the heel is right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Old men should be disrespected.
Exactly so. Well, I'm not in good spirits with him. And I
really have pretty much enjoyed him in AEW, but it's like every week I see him when he does nothing or just baffling things, I'm like, you are really losing a lot every
I
week.
enjoyed him when I thought he came to kiss his old partner.
Exactly.
That's what old men should be here for. Just come here because you miss kissing someone you used to kiss and you want to shout at them and yell at them and be mad at them and kiss them again. That's what I want to see. Don't come back here to do whatever this is.
Yes, I agree. Or right before he broke his leg, when he was like, I am really into doing acting right now.
That was fun.
I'm
That
going
was
to go
fun.
ham on chewing the scenery about being a vampire. That's what I want to see. I would like to see people be like, and now I will put on a little acting.
Exactly.
For some reason, the other day, I had clicked on Gabe Kidd's Twitter, and most of it, the thing he's doing is not super pleasant to me, whatever. But every once in a while, he's really, really funny. And one of them was old men over 50, learn to enjoy time with your friends without picturing your next entrance, which I thought was so funny that I haven't stopped thinking about it. It's like, take up a hobby.
Oh my god. Honestly, that's real. That's fucking real.
Yeah.
I cannot believe we're half an hour into this.
I know, it's because
We've done nothing.
We're just avoiding doing our chore of just finishing up this segment. They're not doing good work, Leah.
They're not exactly. It's like they shouldn't even have gotten a damn segment. Okay, I've had it with you. If Cope is about to win this belt, then God, the only suggestion that I had was Cope win the belt, and then 1 week later, Christian win the belt from Cope, and then 1 week later, Darby win the belt from Christian, and then Christian and Cope just argue with each other about who cost who the belt. That's it. That's my idea now.
Yeah, and then just every week they get 1 minute to have that argument and do a sloppy makeout on screen, and then they're done.
If they want more TV time, they can be in the background of multiple shots per week arguing.
I like that. Yes.
You can't hear them, but you can just see they're still arguing about something.
Beautiful. Yeah, MJF and Hangman are walking through the backstage glaring at each other, and in the background that's happening. Yeah, I
would like it if a few more wrestlers thought that the best screen time you can get is to be in the background doing something a little interesting, and if they were trying to do that more, just walk through the shot doing something a little way in the background. You're not being distracting, but I see you there when we saw Dustin Chuck Taylor, and I'm like, that's good. Okay. Anything else to say about this, girls? Okay, let's move on. Hangman and MJF opened Dynamite this week with an in-ring conversation. Physical violence had been forbidden, and that, of course, is the kind of stricture wrestlers always pay very close attention to and would never dare disregard. We're going to talk through this promo together. I'll speak for all of us, had a really good time.
We lost our minds. I think we were just making weird seal noises through a lot of this.
It was such good work. No one's done character work like this on TV for quite a while.
It is so pleasurable to watch two people have a conversation on wrestling TV where it's like you're talking about each other and you're talking about specific issues that you have with each other and you're analyzing each other in an interesting way. And you're not just telling me about something that happened in 1957.
You're using what you know about each other to hurt each other. Like, I like to see it. Because it's like, these men have even though this is the first time they're like really feuding, they've known each other for a long time. They've seen what the other's been up to. They have a lot of ammunition, but they're actually going to use it. That's cool.
Take the 5 years of AEW and let's make that a whole thing, Got a lot of continuity here.
Well, I'll get us started. You guys feel free to just jump anywhere you want, but I'll start by saying, so MJF kicks off this interaction, and he starts by talking about when the company started in 2019, and he's talking about how, from the beginning, he says, Hangman has been the golden boy who can do no wrong, and it was predetermined that he would be the good guy and that he would, get things like the championship, and that wasn't true of MJF, even though MJF is so good at everything and deserves everything. What did you guys think about this as an opening sally?
He's the rich guy who wears the scarf and brags about being he's above everybody else, but it was very funny to be like, you had everything. You get all the nicest stuff. Everybody just lets you in. I had to work my way through school.
I think at one point he said and all I have I earned with a scarf and a dream.
Yeah, this was one of those things where, I liked him kind of recapping their history where it was in that first battle royale, from 5 years ago, that was fun to remind us of. But yeah, whenever they go to this sort of, and MJF did this they all did in the 4 pillars thing too, where it's you're Tony's specialist boy, and I earned it, but you just Tony loves you for no reason. It's okay, that's not the most helpful, but overall.
I thought this worked here. I thought it worked different. I thought it worked better for me because the thing that he's accusing Hangman of is not I felt like in the 4 Pillars feud, it was just Tony's favor was the thing that they were all arguing about. And it sounded very much why does mom like you more, But for this, what MJF is saying is that everything comes easy to Hangman, that everybody wants to help him and nobody wants. And that for me, that hits a lot better because it's at the root of all of this is he's saying you get handed things that no one ever wants to give me.
Yeah, to me, it still came across too much as people give you things even though you're not that talented, which I just think is not very accurate for Hangman. So I didn't like it as much.
It's not accurate for Hangman, but I did think it. Unfortunately, even though it's not always my favorite thing to hear, as it fits MJF's character because he sees the world that way.
Yeah.
That's a preoccupation he has is I don't want other people to be loved more than me. And I thought it worked that Hangman was I don't want to engage with this topic on your terms. I want to address the actual thing that you're thinking, which is that you're mad that even though you have won the belt and you've you used your Burberry scarf in your dream and you hauled yourself up onto the red carpet and you're a really big star now, you're mad that you're still not happy. That's what this is about. You're mad that you're not happy.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a good it took something that could have been really boring and was no, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what's really happening.
Yeah. Hangman did a great job of ignoring and being because it was a conversational gambit that Hangman couldn't ever win. You know what I mean? Because if Hangman had tried to be actually, I've worked really hard for things and, I've tried, there's just no way that, he could win that particular fight, which is why, I think people in the past have failed at promo battles with MJF because they tried to play his game. And it's so good for Hangman to be no, I'm not playing your game. We're doing something else here.
That's it. That's interesting. I hadn't even really thought about it that way before, but you're right that it's MJF is always going to lead with, for better or for worse. And I think, but for the character, I think it kind of makes sense. He's always going to lead with something that you're this is superficially stupid, but it's because he never talks about what's actually going on inside his, character's psyche.
Right.
Yeah, well, I do think they both did a really good job of when they were really gotten to suddenly losing their temper and stuff in a way that was very arresting.
Yeah. Well, and I also thought Hangman's initial counter to this, why are you talking to me like I don't know who you are, was really funny.
That was really
and very classic Hangman, who loves to like hear something that's kind of like normal for someone to do in wrestling and hang a lampshade on it in an interesting way. Yeah. That it's just like, yeah, people do that a lot. Like, and they kind of have to. But it's funny for you, especially given the rest of the promo, it's funny for you to be like, and I'll call it out, like, why are you standing here telling me our whole history? Like, I know our history. Even though it's good that he said some of the history.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun. Okay, so Hangman says to MJF, he's like, well, you're talking about your successes, but you sound angry, which is a great, like, that's such a great thing to call out, that I feel like you don't have enough promos that are calling out the disconnect sometimes between what people are saying and how they're saying it, or that are like going a little deeper like that. So I really liked that.
I particularly like that this part of the schedule, you called it, if it makes you happy, then why the hell are you so sad?
She knows what she's talking about. And he was like, I think you're upset that you don't have, like, the crowd, you know, they don't love you. No matter what you do, like, people don't love you. And MJF was like, well, I don't care if do you guys, am I stepping on?
No.
Okay. Just stop me if you're like, I had more analysis to do there. So MJF was like, he says, I just think it's funny that these hypocrites, the fans, get to determine who is morally redeemable and who's not. These people woke up one day and decided you get to be the main character. You're the good guy. What did you guys think of this approach? I do feel like an English teacher.
No, but I do want to rip this apart, like as if we're in an English class and being like, what I think the narrator was saying here. No, I mean, again, like, I think that there are feuds in which arguing over who the crowd loves more would be very annoying. But I like it. I do like it here because, again, I'm just really obsessed with the idea of MJF being like, you have everything I've ever wanted and you don't appreciate it. And that makes me crazy. It makes me want to choke you out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really works because MJF does so transparently want like admiration and love, and because Hangman does have people like MJF kind of called out things people say online, like Hangman's done nothing wrong and stuff, which like often I would rather, I'd usually prefer it if people would pretend they're not on Twitter all day long. But I think it did really work where it's like Hangman does have fans in a way that MJF doesn't. And even when he was saying all the bad stuff Hangman did, the crowd would cheer for each of them in a way where it's like, yeah, that was rad.
I know. I did love that. But at the same time, the part where he was like, and that Hangman did nothing wrong, people, and then the crowd cheered, and it's like, okay, we're not rewarding those people. Those people were very annoying.
Right. Yeah. And incorrect. But
no, I did really like when he was like, and you burnt Swerve's house down, and the whole crowd was like,
yeah.
So, and then he said, MJF said, after everything you've done, I've got a question for you. Everybody loves Hangman Adam Page, but after everything you've done, do you love you? Did you love yourself after you ended the career of your mentor, after you absolutely demolished that jobber hack, Christopher Daniels? I have to say, to hear a man say on television, do you love you? That's kind of why I play this game. You know, that's what I come here to feel. Because it's like, you are looking at two people who, like, I think we said this, it's like one thing they have in common is they're fundamentally deeply uncomfortable with themselves, and it just manifests really differently. And MJF is always going to be like, I'm right, and not acknowledge any part of him that's like, maybe I was wrong. And Hangman is like very aware, is constantly being like, I'm wrong. Yeah. Even when he is right. And he just gets worse because, I don't know, I don't think I expressed that very clearly.
No, you're absolutely right. That he's always second guessing himself so much that he sometimes doesn't act on his own convictions because he convinces himself that he wasn't right about it.
Yeah, and it was so satisfying to watch both characters really expose the like sensitive underbellies of, or let the other person expose them in a way that, is pretty vulnerable really as a performer, I think, it worked so well.
Yeah, it was great. And Hangman did break at this point, and we saw like some of the stuff that's clearly been building over the past few weeks or since that Christopher Daniels match, like he just burst out and was like, don't you talk that way about my dad. Don't you ever talk that way about my dad. I know I said I hated him. I know I said I never wanted to see him again. I know I ran away from home, but don't you ever talk that way about my dad. He's worth 10 of you.
Yeah. For MJF insulting Christopher Daniels to be the thing that made, because earlier MJF had broke into like how dare you, an actual really mad thing. But for this to be what had Hangman lose it, is just like so telling about where the character is, and it works so well. And he just went into like a long rant about like how great Christopher Daniels is and how important his career has been and how MJF's nothing compared to him and stuff. And it was like, that's such a great way to express like how bad the character of Hangman's been feeling for the last few weeks about it. It's just really effective.
Right.
Without him saying, I feel so bad about this,
Yes. But it worked amazing because you could see it, like the way that it was such an unbottling, and clearly it's like this is all the stuff that he's been turning over in his own mind while outwardly being like, well, I am not sorry, and I have nothing to say about that. It's his own rant in himself. It's like, how could you do that to this guy who was such a great wrestler and so important and gave so much to you, but he's yelling it at MJF like, ooh, that's the stuff. Really, 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 really good. So then he says, Hangman says to MJF, like, this is Christopher Daniels' legacy. Actually, he's really important and respected. And why do you think you can talk trash about him? Like, if you died tomorrow, what do you think people would say about you? Which is a great thing to say because it's the only thing MJF ever thinks about. It is the only thing that the character cares about a lot of the time, or it's like where he's like channeling all of his stuff is like, how do people perceive me? How do they think about me? Why don't they think about me the way I want them to think about me? Like, it just was so, like, that's so, like, spot on.
Yeah, because, like, MJF's sense of self-worth comes from, like, being successful, being at the top, like, proving that he's, like, worth existing in the world, and he doesn't think he is, so.
Yeah. And then Hangman said, you ask why after everything that I've done, these people still seem to care about me. And I'm not going to be arrogant trying to understand it, but I know what's right and I know what's wrong and I tell the truth about it. I've never lied to the fans. If I have had a problem, I faced it head on, eye to eye. I didn't run from it. I didn't hide it from it. I didn't hide from it. It's got to be it. Everything I've had, I've worked for it. And everything you have, you've cheated to get.
Ooh, really good. Really good.
Rough stuff. I thought this was interesting, too, though, because it's like, I was thinking while he was saying it, I was like, do I think that's true? Do I think it's true that you have faced everything head on and that you have never run or hidden from anything? No. But do I think that it's something that you as a character are really preoccupied with and that this is the way it would come out? Yes.
I think it's one of those things where it's not so much that he's always been able to do it, but it's the value that he cares about. Like it's something, it's like it's a quality that he wants for himself and he believes in. Like he thinks that is what like he should be doing, even though he hasn't always been able to do it. He said, "I've never lied to the fans," and I'm like, "You've lied a lot, actually."
Yeah,
but I know you value honesty.
Well, and he is a man. It's like he understands. He works towards things. Like he even like sometimes he gets kicked back, but like he has an ideal of himself that he wants to live up to, and it's really crushing to him when he can't live up to it. And it's so crushing that it sends him into these spirals, like depressive spirals, or like into like monster mode that he's been in. But he does care a lot about like wanting to be a person who doesn't run from his problems, even though he does, which is great. And it's great. It's just in general, like an unreliable narrator is wonderful if they're unreliable in the way they should be unreliable, which I think is what was happening here.
Yeah.
And then MJF hits back by saying he's earned everything he's ever gotten. Hangman can't say the same, so he's kind of returning to the beginning part. And then he says, I talk, look, wrestle better than you. You name one thing you do better than me. Name it. And Hangman says, I'm real.
Yeah. which is
fuck me
brutal because it's so like
and
it's
that
both
is true.
It's the truest thing he's ever said, and that's why people like consistently identify with Hangman, because he's always felt like the realest person in AEW, you know?
Yeah. And has always been the problem with MJF. Like, when MJF's character is working really well, he's fake in a way where you get glimpses of the reality underneath. But when MJF is doing really bad work, he's just like a fake cartoon character, and it like doesn't work badly. So, I mean, it's a really good contrast, like both in a kayfabe sense and in sort of a non-kayfabe sense.
I mean, MJF, when you think about it, MJF is playing like a pretty difficult character, which is why it goes wrong sometimes, because it's very hard to be fake in a way where you just occasionally give people just enough of a glimpse of how you're not fake to like be interested in what's going on underneath the fakeness. Like, it's not an easy thing to perform, and he isn't always good at it. But when he is good at it, he's great at it.
Yeah. Like in this promo, he was great at it.
In this promo, he was great at it.
It's been a while since he's been great at it, but this was working.
And they got to the thing that was like, oh yeah, this is the best possible thing that you could highlight between these two characters is that one of you is always himself, for better or for worse, and the other one is terrified to like be himself and take, you know, whatever people have to say about it, and so is constantly like, you know, actually running and hiding and like being somebody else and performing.
Yeah.
Man, really,
it's good work.
Stuff.
It's really good work.
It's really good work.
There were so many lines in this that I was like, yes, that is what you should have said, which so often I'm like, it was a good promo. Here's what I would have done. In this, I'm like, no, everybody, you both were doing your best possible work. Like, I think it's like a thing where it's like when you work with Hangman, you just have to rise to meet his level.
Yeah. I know. I think I said while we were watching it, I was like, oh, it's really boring to say. So, you know, sometimes like we actually don't say it as much anymore, but it's like Hangman is the best. Yeah. Like he's really fucking good at being a person that you care about and that you're interested in and that you like want to chew on his little brain like beef jerky.
In the entire time that we have been watching wrestling, I have never said, I don't know what he wants or what he's scared of. Like, no matter what his character was doing, no matter what, like, heel, face, anything, he always communicates. He always manages to communicate, like, what's going on with him. And he's not afraid at any point to be like, this is a weakness. This is, like, what's going on with me isn't, like, the brightest, like, the strongest, you know, manliest thing. Like there's really real things wrong, you know, whereas, you know, so many wrestlers are just like, I love to win.
Yeah, he has like such a good handle on his character and he is good at expressing it. It's like him, and I think Eddie is also really good at this, where it's like has a vulnerability and a realness to them that really works, and I think always has like a continuity, and it's easy to be on side with them. And I think that's why, I mean, they're two of the best baby faces when they're in that mode.
Yeah. And it's like, it is really difficult. You know, you do have a lot of wrestlers who are like, I need to perform absolute confidence in myself, and I'm not going to give you any indication that I ever question it. And it's like, oh, well, that's very boring. It's very boring to just really believe that you're the best and never worry that you're not
right. It's like what Lynn said last week. It was like, oh, my character in this TV show is going to be a high schooler. And it's like, okay, well, it's set in a high school, so you really got to do something else for me.
Gonna have to distinguish ourselves a little more than that. Yeah, and it's interesting too because I think Swerve's also in that cadre of like really great storytellers. But his character is much less like obviously vulnerable, I think, but he still manages to have a lot of character continuity and interest, which is, it's just interesting to watch how they do that and keep their persona interesting. Yeah. And you can see in this one too, where it's like they showed their vulnerabilities by when they lost their temper. So it's like
Swerve does do that. Swerve is really good at that.
Really good at it, yeah. And I feel like other people should be looking at that when it's like you're performing tough guy, and how do men show when they feel out of control? It's like when they start screaming at people, you know.
Right, which is one of those things where it's like, and you can get there, but you have to show not there and then
yes.
you get, you know what I mean? Like when you come
modulate
in,
your tone.
right? When you come into the ring yelling at me, I don't think, oh, this man has lost his temper. I'm like, oh, this man is yelling at me. You know, like you have to
exactly.
You can do
You've
it
got to have an exchange where you're being like, oh, I'm calm and I'm in control and I'm burning him, and then suddenly I'm really mad because he's hit a nerve.
Thing. Right, this specific thing is what has sent me over the edge. That's interesting. I'm locked in.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now boarding Group A. Please have your boarding passes ready to scan. If your phone is cracked, old, or was chewed up by your Chihuahua travel companion, please refrain from holding up the line. Instead, go to Verizon and trade in any phone in any condition from one of their top brands for the new Samsung Galaxy S25 Plus with Galaxy AI and a watch and tab on any plan. Only on Verizon. With new line on my plan. Service plan required for watch and tab. Additional terms apply. See Verizon.com for details.
All you homeowners have unique needs. Some feel the need to paint their door a vibrant shade of blue. Others have the need to decorate their bathroom with fish, anchors, and other nautical items. And because each homeowner has unique needs, Geico helps you get the right coverage for your home and what's in it. That way, you get exactly what's right for you, even if your needs are unique. Get more with Geico.
And you can do it the opposite way, too. You can have somebody who's really loud and screams, and then when they actually get upset, they get really quiet. You can do it in both directions, but everything can't be the same tone throughout. Right. That's where we have a problem.
It's really, you're showing that external things affect you, that you hear what the other person is saying and you're reacting to it. Not to be like all acting is reacting, but it's like that's when you see who a character is. It's like what gets to them, what makes them change how they're presenting themselves.
And it's great to watch a promo like this where you leave like thinking about the characters in a new way. Like I left thinking more about like Hangman, you know, being like, I never run from my problems. And it's like, yeah, you're really, sometimes you can be very impulsive about confronting external problems, but it's because you're on the run from yourself internally. Yeah. That's what's happening. You're running inside yourself. And then also I left thinking about MJF and how, like, you know, we say, what do you want? What do you fear? And like with MJF, a lot of the time it's like, what do you want? It's like kind of like the crowd to love you. But it's like, I left this being like, you want the crowd loving you to feel good. Like you want something to make you feel good, and nothing does.
You have a giant hole inside you and you're constantly trying to feed it and constantly trying to figure out what will make you stop like hungering for something. Yeah. You won the title, you had the crowd, you had you've had things, and they were never enough. Nothing was ever enough.
Yeah. Because wherever you go, there you are.
Wherever you go, there you are.
That billionaire's problem where it's like there's no amount of money that can make you feel okay with yourself, and so you just try to keep collecting more and more of it, and more than you could ever spend. And
it's really, wrestling is interesting when it makes you think about life, in my opinion. But anyway, then Hangman said, I'm real. MJF said, you know what? You can be the main character all you want. I've got no problem being the bad guy. A lie. Kind of true. But you know what I mean? It's like it's just really good. They get into a little back and forth. MJF spits on Hangman really nasty, wet. Like, really obvious on camera, which is impressive.
It was one of those things like the toilet paper on Ricochet where you're like, wow, that ended up looking great on camera, and there was no way you could have, you were doing it on purpose, but it, everything serendipitously
Yes. It's kind of like, you're like, I'm sure that I've seen someone spit on someone else other times on TV, and it just didn't work as good by accident, so it doesn't stick in your mind. But I'm like, I'll never forget this spit.
Do you remember on the Kevin Steen show when Chuck Taylor told the story about Adam Cole spitting? No. And he took a sip from a water bottle and went to go spit it on Dustin and accidentally horfed it back into his lungs and started choking, and so the crowd around him started chanting, "You fucked up, you fucked up," and Dustin was like, I think that's the first time anyone's got a "you fucked up" chant for trying to spit.
Oh, wrestling. Inherently silly. Okay, so even though they weren't supposed to get into a physical altercation, Hangman had been pushed to the edge, tried to attack MJF. MJF fled. Security held Hangman back. Christopher Daniels came out to the ring and was basically being like, whoa there, horsey, no.
Right as Hangman was like mid-punch. He punched like 5 security guards down in a row, and then CD was right there, and he had to stop.
Is this who I said my horse thing about? Is this when I said that Hangman was a wild stallion and Christopher Daniels was the teen girl who was taming? Horses again, stables again.
Someone in the crowd yelled, "Don't punch your daddy, Hangman."
Yeah, someone in our Discord channel pointed that out, and I went back to go listen to the clip and absolutely hollered, "Don't punch your daddy, Hangman."
So fucking funny. And
Hangman looked devastated when suddenly Christopher Daniels was right there, and he had almost hit him again. Like,
oh my god! I thought you were insinuating he looked devastated when he heard that person yell out from the
I mean,
God,
probably,
you're right.
I shouldn't hit my daddy.
It's quite sexy to like for him to have had all of those roiling feelings of shame and guilt, and then they come out in this way of like defending someone that he himself has refused to apologize to or defend. But now it's clear to everybody suddenly that he's been walking around for weeks being like, I'm a piece of shit. I'm a piece of garbage. How can I do this? I think he said he was like, if I could rip out my spine and give it to Christopher Daniels, I would. And it was like, wow, someone's had some sleepless nights. Someone is really not doing good.
Someone filled with regrets.
Oh my god. And Christopher Daniels said, don't listen to MJF. I know who you are, and you know who you are. I did think this was gilding the lily a little. This was over-egging the pudding a little.
I knew why they did it, because it's wrestling and you can't rely on the acting to show you. But it was Hangman, and all I needed was his facial expression, and the words were just like, okay, I get it. Like, nope.
It's
like,
rather than in wrestling, sometimes you clearly they're backstage and they're like, okay, so then you'll just look at me, and it's like, is Dave Meltzer going to understand that? You better say it. You better say something.
I know, it would have been the perfect moment if it was just like suddenly CD was there and stopped Hangman from punching a security guard, and then they just looked at each other, and then Hangman pulled back and like left in a hurry. That would have been
away
like
in shame.
Yeah,
with that expression on his face, like I am a piece of shit. Yeah,
that would have done it for me. But I get it. You got
right.
Like, Joe Lanza's never going to get it otherwise.
Get their asses. These men are on the chopping block this week. We're coming for you. We're saying you don't know how to read a facial expression. And that's why we have to watch some of the shit we have to watch. It's because of you. I've taken off my glasses. I got to put them back on before I can see what we're supposed to talk about. Oh, and then Christopher Daniels became the first man in AEW history to show a moment's kind concern for a security guard. He like patted a security guard and like was just like, oh, like clearly being like, this has been rough. I'm sorry. You get back to catering and have a drink. It's okay. Daddy Daniels has you now. And I thought that was nice, even though I thought his 3-piece suit looked a little silly this week.
I did too, but I really was like really touched, where I was like, thank you. At least someone acknowledges the fact that these poor working men.
Hopefully Dustin's hard at work unionizing.
Yeah, hopefully they're really going to make some strides backstage in terms of union rights.
When all the security guards started coming out, it did tense up, and I was like,
I know.
If we had Dustin unionizing the security guards as one Abed back of camera plot, and then Christian and Cope arguing and considering whether or not to kiss again as another like back of the shot plot, we'd really be cooking. I mean, that could fill out. It would just be a little something for the eye to land on if the promo at the front of the screen wasn't landing. All right. Anything else you want to say about Hangman and MJF, who will fight at Revolution?
Okay, I'm at my leisure to see it. They've certainly worked me up.
Yep.
Thank you for doing some interesting psychological work that adds nuance to your characters and makes me think about you in a richer, deeper way.
Yeah.
That's all I ask. And I don't think it's too much to ask. All right. Toni and Mariah had their big match at Grand Slam Collision, Brisbane, Australia, down under. And Toni won. And she's the world champion again. Woo-hoo. And this match was great. I had a really good time. I don't think that I have any specific comments on it.
I think Mariah seemed like weirdly like surprised by how badly it went for her, which I really, really liked. And I hope that that's something that like pays off. Like during the match, every time, like there was a point where like Toni had her like crowded into the corner and Mariah just had this look on her face where she was like, this shouldn't be happening to me. This is not what I saw.
It's good. She works very well as a character who does drink her own Kool-Aid and like, you know, believes her own performance a lot of the time and is so shocked that it's possible to, you know, startle her out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a great match. And I was very happy. I mean, obviously we knew that Toni was going to win, but I was really happy that she
For
did.
some reason, I hadn't thought about. I
hadn't either. It like hadn't occurred to me either way, and then I was surprised, and I was like, "What did I think was going to happen?" I don't know.
I felt incredibly foolish, but like not. It's like I guess I was just like I just hadn't thought about it at all, and it's like she came out, and I was like, Australia, where she's from, which they've been telling us for months. They've been for months reiterating that she's a Gold Coast girl, and the show is on the Gold Coast, and suddenly I was like, wow. She's in her hometown.
Who could have predicted?
It's amazing to be an idiot sometimes because it means you can experience things, you know, just with the mind of a child.
I just really wanted to enter into the kayfabe. And,
pretty much. And so then I was like, wow, and she wins in front of her hometown crowd?
She's
That's
world
amazing.
champ again? Wow.
I thought they actually did a pretty good job with the build to this where it's like, now that we've seen it, and of course you've said it, Leah, like, yeah, she was going to win. But I thought they did a pretty good job of it not feeling oppressively like she's going there to win. Like, it felt like they're going to have a real fight.
Yeah,
well,
right.
And I think their dynamics were so interesting that it's like who was going to win and the title was like the least of my concerns. Like, my concerns were like, who's going to psychologically destroy someone, which is like so much more interesting to me that I think that's why I got misdirected into never thinking for a second, oh, right, the title.
I'd love to see more situations where where a wrestler wins a match, but the loser clearly is like, but I won because I destroyed you mentally. You know what I mean? Like, I won because you'll never forget me. And this is one of those things I say, and then I think nobody would like that because winning is supposed to make you happy in wrestling, but sometimes winning actually makes you sad because winning wrestling is not as important as being a happy person.
Yeah. No, it's true. People would like it, but I think you could set up some good scenarios where that would be really compelling. Like, I feel like Max Caster could kind of do that, like lose in a way where he's made the winner lose, kind of, you know?
But to have fought me at all was embarrassing for you.
Right. By engaging with me, you've lost. You're in the mud.
So embarrassing.
Or it's like if you goad somebody into doing something that was against their principles, like it would be better to see them celebrate it sometimes.
And I think wasn't OC sort of like edging towards that at some point where it was like, if he kept the belt, I feel like one of his title runs had this vibe of like, what would he do to keep the belt?
Yes,
and he was like
it
flirting with
Yeah.
cheating, and that
It
would have
been
been
an
that would have been really interesting if he cheated to keep the belt and then was like disgusted with himself for stooping that low.
Yeah, if they really like leaned into OC being corrupted by the belt more than they did, like they were definitely flirting with it, but I think that could have been a really interesting result of that.
And I think it would work best in a situation where it's like you wouldn't do it with this Hangman MJF storyline, but something where it's like someone like MJF who's like, fine, you're gonna win this match, but I'm gonna bring you down to my level. I'm gonna make you act like me, which you'll find repulsive and you'll never be able to forget it. That would be very interesting to me.
Yeah.
And then somebody just has to live with it. Like, well, I have this belt, but I did do something horrible, and I had to look in the eyes of someone who knew that they'd made me do it.
Yeah.
I think that was a little bit what Swerve was trying to do to Hangman, wasn't he?
Yeah,
too? That
there was some of that.
Swerve was like, I want to make you as bad
that's
as
true.
me.
Yeah,
but I think like I think Swerve bit off more than he could chew, sort of thing, and that wasn't really satisfying for Swerve either, because he was like, "Great, I've created Godzilla."
Now, let's do it again. Let's just keep doing this crazy thing.
But Swerve would also be a great character if he did pull off a storyline like that, and then at the end, like the winner is there with the belt, like looking devastated, and like, you could envision like a psycho Swerve with like blood all over his face, like laughing and looking at him, and like that being like a real good moment.
I know, it's like that one specific beat that I feel hunger for, where it's the moment of the one person being like, "Fuck, I did what I said I would never do," and the other person being like, "Yeah, and I made you do it." Maybe they did have that moment.
In a better world, that would have been the moment of Hangman taking the belt from Swerve. Like, if Swerve, like, that's
like
who
at
dethroned Swerve. And Hangman took the belt.
Electric atmosphere of Wembley Stadium.
And Swerve bloody and laughing because it's like, you have the belt, but
look what you've become.
Yeah. Your precious belt you were so proud of winning. Now you held it again.
And then Swerve's like losing the belt would still be like such an elevating moment too. Yeah, that would be killer.
Was fucking yelling that whole time about, the male podcasters, like yelling about like, well, you could never do Hangman Swerve at the end because it would be so like dark and you need a really like great like moment, and like it's just like that would be so sexy and erotic, and the end of a season of TV, just like long live the king.
Don't you think
the king is just like, what the fuck did I do?
Don't you think like it would be one of those moments where the crowd goes dead silent for a moment, not even because like not for any negative reason, but because it's like their breath has been stolen. God, we should fucking
that's killer. I know.
Nobody let
incredible.
us do anything.
And then it would like kick off such a good title reign if the way they won the belt was like entwined with so much self-loathing and like the darkest moment of their life, and then they just have to be the title holder.
Yeah.
That'd be so
Hangman
good.
Confronting his darkest impulses and like struggling back whilst defending every week would fucking rule.
And incredible. Then to have if we had the comparison, the direct comparison of the last time he won the belt being like, I embraced all of my best instincts. I did the hard thing that is to love and trust others, like, and trust myself.
Throwing the beer away and hugging the Dark Order.
So hard for me. Like, I confronted, like, Kenny head on, and then I won, and I won in love. And then to have this moment where it's like, and I got the exact same prize this time, by becoming the absolute worst version of myself. And I knew that the person that I was fighting wanted me to become that version, and I was so weak that I didn't.
Winning in love and then winning in hate.
Oof. Wow.
And then someone could have made a really great fan vid about it, and we would be able to watch that.
And the Hangman girlies would have, too.
Immediately,
Wrestling... You could be better than you are. You could be better than you are.
There's more Wembleys coming up. You know, that's a free idea. Anybody?
It's a free idea. You kind of missed a pretty good big moment.
Pretty good one you could have done. Yeah, but
do another version. Anyway, but Toni won. It's her fourth reign. I don't remember how. It's her fourth reign.
That seems crazy.
I think I've forgotten some of the.
She won it
as Rocker Toni.
Yeah, and then she won it off of Jamie.
Oh, right. Okay.
And then she lost it again, and then she won it off.
Oh, she lost it to Saraya.
Lost it to Saraya,
Is that right?
and then and then won it off Sheeta.
I think so.
I think.
Could be.
And then obviously this is number 4.
Obviously.
Whatever.
This is number 4.
Dude, if you told me, a year, 2 years ago that I would be like, yeah, Toni can have as many reigns as she wants, I would have been shocked. But yeah, I'm like, give her 6. I don't care.
Yeah,
seriously. She's doing a great job.
I can't stop thinking about that fact we learned when we were on ONR about Charlotte Flair having some number of like times that she'd won the belt, and then they were like, we're changing the number. And then they took some away. Is that right?
Yeah.
I think that's what happened.
It was Ric Flair had...
Oh, Ric Flair had some number.
However many title runs, and then they were like, actually, it's 16.
Yes.
And then Charlotte is going to try to chase the record or whatever. But it's not the real record. Like, it's anyway.
But why? And then we were like, but why? Levels. And they were like, no one knows. Okay. Oh, yeah. So then Mariah, Toni. Oh, and then Toni had an in-ring promo on Dynamite this week that just fucking slapped. Really delightful. She got a great, like, everything went dark and she got a great spotlight. I don't know if they just bought a spotlight or something, but they've been using it a lot and I'm obsessed with it. I think more than anybody else. Like, and I'm treating it like it's my child. Like, I'm constantly being like, don't you guys think that's a beautiful spotlight? Isn't this amazing lighting?
I mean, it looked great, and it goes really with her character so well. The pop she got was so huge, and then every line of this promo was like art. It was both beautiful and hilarious, like the whole way through. Absolutely filthy.
A lot of it did not get recounted.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. So she did she was just doing some general comedy, vamping, really funny, great stuff. And then she promised to face the best in order to be the best. And she specifically named Chris and Willow as potential opponents for her 4th title reign. What do you want to see for Toni going forward?
I'm very interested because surely at some point Mercedes is going to go for the big girl belt.
Yeah.
But she has to lose the TNT belt.
Yeah.
So it really does make you wonder how they're going to, because surely Mercedes is going to be like the next one. But like, I don't know. I'm just so interested in what they're going to do. Because that would slap. Like the Mercedes Toni's like feud is going to slap when they get to it. But
yeah,
I'm very interested in what they're doing here.
Do you want to just touch really quickly, since you brought Mercedes up, do you want to just talk about what's going on with Mercedes right now?
Yeah.
So Mercedes and Harley fought at Grand Slam, and Mercedes won. But it was a real fight because Harley was a real opponent, and they did some very fun puppet spots. I think the puppet punched Mercedes, and then Mercedes like beat up the puppet.
There was a lot of really good shots. Like whoever was running the camera really kept framing the puppet perfectly on like the side of the ring. Like I was really losing it. It was great.
I really like how hard they've committed to the puppet bit. It's like they're doing it very seriously, which is incredible.
I wonder where they bought it. Like who makes that? You know what I mean? Like I want to know where I can buy a Muppet puppet.
Like
they're actually not very hard to make. Like my mom made some for us when we were kids, and so I don't think they. I mean, she's a good sewer. Like she did a lot of sewing, but yeah, I don't think they're.
I could make one of me.
Yeah, I think so.
This is how you go down a dark path to becoming a ventriloquist. I can't do this.
Yeah, but I support that. I'd love it if you had a little Muppet puppet of yourself.
Wow.
I don't know. I don't know
pot
that
is split.
Support Allie becoming a ventriloquist.
But you support her having a self puppet.
I have, having a puppet for sure. But
I feel like if you have the puppet, you're going to use it to do ventriloquism. What is like? I feel
you don't
like
have to do ventriloquism. You could be behind the stage and.
So I should build a stage?
Yeah. I did suggest that, didn't I? Yeah.
What do you see for me?
Just you in your Minnesota apartment in the dark and cold winter with your puppet stage.
Do you guys
just kind of full sound of music,
Okay, what if I made the puppet and I started coming to our podcast recordings and having the puppet be in
talk to us?
This is what I was afraid of. When the conversation first became Allie should have a puppet, this is the kind of thing I was afraid of.
You didn't like that. You don't want that to happen.
I don't like that. I have to say I'm a little afraid of puppets.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, like, not on TV. I'm not, like, afraid of, like...
You're like, I can watch them, guys.
I can watch them, but... not the... I mean, I think they're...
Not your favorite thing.
No, they're kind of creepy.
Okay, well, we'll put that in the... What do we call it at work? We'll say, like, let's put that in the parking lot, or let's pop that in the ice box. Which I think kind of sounds like we're, like, freezing a corpse. Like, I'm always like, oh, so we'll never look at it again? What do you mean? But...
At the college I went to, there was... an abandoned insane asylum that was 100% haunted, and one part of it remained haunted, and we used to break into it and scare ourselves, but the other half was turned into a puppet museum.
That you shouldn't really be building
Wow.
puppet museums on haunted ground.
No.
In my opinion, that's like
No. That's like
begging
rule
for
number
trouble.
1.
Like you would do that because you're like, God, I hope the puppets get possessed and come to life. I
Yeah.
hope they do something so evil.
Right. Like, what are they putting on the other side? Like a bunch of China dolls, like a doll museum.
Okay, so Mercedes won, and then she had a backstage interview with Renee on Dynamite this week where she was challenged to a Revolution match versus Momo Watanabe, and who was also at Grand Slam, and I think she was in the front row, and they cut to her a couple times, and I think they had a moment where Mercedes like shoved a belt in her face or something to be like, look at all my beautiful belts. Mm-hmm. And
Momo did not look impressed.
No, she didn't. And I don't know that woman, but I hope that they have fun. I can't wait to watch her wrestle.
Yeah.
I only know her from O&R talking about her, and I think James likes her, so I think it should be.
Yeah, and was she in? I feel like she might have been in one of the matches we watched for our.
Was she in the cage match that we watched?
I think she might have
There were a
been,
lot of women
yeah.
in that match, so
Yeah.
I feel like I remember, her
And they were
from
all
there,
great.
Yeah. Loved them. So I do feel a little like disappointed that Harley and Mercedes is over. Like I'm sure things will be fun with Momo, but it is like I hope they find other fun things for Harley.
I know. I'm excited to see what Harley moves on to, especially. I thought it was a really good storyline of kind of establishing her as more of a contender,
Yeah.
and she like clearly kind of came into herself in a lot of ways during the storyline. So let's keep it cooking. Let's not lose our women, okay?
Do you guys think it's funny that Dave feels the exact same way about Anne as Anne is? Like, I'm really sorry that Harley lost.
The first time that
Really?
any of us have ever been on the same page as
Yeah. Dave's like, I really wanted it to keep going. I really think it's a money feud.
The fact that Dave, like that Harley is one of his special little guys is like,
It's so funny.
oh, Dave.
Will Ospreay and Harley Cameron.
Yeah. Like, okay.
He's like, that's the money makers.
She has a lot of live show charisma, I hear. So, yeah.
So true. Well, she's got a lot of TV charisma, too. What charisma don't she have? Okay. Kenny and Will fought Takeshita and Fletcher at Grand Slam and won. Very fun match. Kenny got a real, I think, Ann, you pointed this out, he got a real big boy God presentation. That's not how you said it, but that's how I chose to say it.
Big boy God.
Big boy God is what I chose to say.
It was like the pyro, the costuming, the entrance, like everything was like, this is the biggest deal in the world.
Theater.
Which I loved for Kenny.
He's one of our special guys, so we like that. And later in the show, after the match, he and Ospreay got a backstage promo where Kenny said, as happy as I should be teaming with my good buddy Will Ospreay, and Ospreay just ducked closer to kind of bow, like, and that's me, actually. It's me, Will Ospreay.
They both had the weirdest. You've done screenshots here, but like watching it, I also like noticed it because both of them had the weirdest expressions the whole way through. Like they both look like not exactly happy, but like kind of awkward, but like okay. Like to me, what it kind of looked like was like Ospreay has been very enthusiastic to have Kenny as his new best friend, and he's been following Kenny everywhere. And right before this promo, they had to have a talk about how Kenny has to be allowed to go to the bathroom by himself.
And so Ospreay's keeping a respectful distance behind him because he really doesn't want to screw this up.
Yeah, my God. And so, he's pretty happy that Kenny still called him his good buddy, but, they're kind of just both feeling a little bit weird.
This is such a completely different energy, but that just immediately made me think of when I was a child and I would follow my mother around the store. And I think it really was a different time because sometimes she'd just turn around and say, Alexandra, if you follow me for one more minute, like she'd just be like, go get lost. Like, this is me
talk to a stranger or something.
Like, aren't there any vans around? See if they've got any candy in there. There was something weird going because Ospreay did just look like he was having a lot of feelings and he didn't know how to express them too. So it's like 1 second he'd be like so excited, and then the next second he'd be kind of like scared of how excited he got.
And didn't Kenny like signal him in some way and was like, and I think Ospreay has something to say, and Will like looked at him and was like, me?
Oh. And then he was like, yeah.
Of course I do have something reversed.
It's like kind of maybe he was just like stuck in his memories. Like he's like, I can't believe it happened. happened. It was a dream. I could have danced all night. We were in the ring together, and he was flipping, and I was flipping, and then we did that one move, and it was so good, and then we won, and we're best friends, and he did say I can't go to the bathroom with him all the time. That's okay. I can probably still go sometimes. And what are you talking about? What's happening? You did really good, Kenny. You did amazing out there.
And I loved in the match every time Kenny was getting too beat up and Ospreay would come out of nowhere and be like, Kenny, no.
Oh my God, he did. I totally forgot that there was that one point in the match where he flung himself on Kenny again, but in a way where I was just like, I don't think at this point in the match, like, it's even the most helpful thing to do. Like, it's definitely not what anyone would usually do. And he was just like, I'll never let my best friend get hurt. And it's like, maybe fight someone about it. I don't think you should lie on him right now. I don't think that's the best thing for us. But I loved it. It was the best thing for me. I loved it. So Kenny was saying that he's kind of pissed off that he has to listen to people talk about how Takeshita has beat him twice in 1 week, and he has the international title, and that's the best thing that you can have. Which is very funny. It's the pinnacle of this company. I'm like, well, we do have that world title, but I guess you're right. We ain't seen it in a while, as everyone's complaining about, and so. Maybe that's what people are complaining about, is that now the international title is the pinnacle and the world
it's the
title
top belt you can see,
doesn't exist.
You can't see it. Is it there? I mean, it got turned into Jay White, so
if a tree falls in Jay White, well, yeah, don't worry about that.
I just pictured a tree grows in Brooklyn, except tree grows in Jay White.
It's like when you were a kid and people would say, like, oh, if you swallow the seed, then the tree will grow in you. Instead of saying, like, you don't swallow the apple seed because it has arsenic in it or whatever. What are we talking about? It's kind of a rapid fire.
Do you think Ospreay would really enjoy going to the stables? Like, when he was tired in a match?
He kind of looks like maybe he did, yeah.
Kenny, I'm feeling a little tired, so I'm thinking that I might go to the stables if you wanted to come. Kenny's like, it's a one-man operation.
It's a private place.
Osprey's like, oh, right.
Osprey's like, but sometimes best friends can help each other with the stable part. And Kenny's like, no.
I can't stop thinking about Ospreay as our friend Hannah's son, who's going through a really clingy phase right now. And Hannah just recently told us that she has a new strategy where she sets a timer and hands her son the timer and is like, when the timer ends, I will come back. But otherwise, you have to let me go upstairs alone.
Oh my God.
Kenny just hands Ospreay his phone. When the timer comes off, you can find me, but not until then.
Like, Will Ospreay constantly wants to hold Kenny's hand.
That mental image is so... I believe that was the initial phase of this phase of childhood development, was just constant hand holding, and I love the mental image of Will Ospreay just sliding his hand into Kenny's and as they walk to not and Kenny being like, I think we said that maybe the hand holding is kind of a sometimes thing, and it's maybe just a dressing room, not out in the hall.
Dressing room thing. But Ospreay, he'll just scream if he's not allowed to hold his hands. So Kenny has to do it.
I just think his eyes would just get so big and sad. What do you mean you don't want to hold my hand?
I don't want to hold my hand, but we're best friends. I miss you. Well, I'm right here.
I was going to say, like, I wish that the Ospreay that we imagine was always the Ospreay we see on screen, but frankly, he's giving us enough of it that I don't really need more. Like,
we're not that far
everything
off.
I need.
No, yeah, it's pretty close.
It's one of those things where I'm like, we're kind of there.
We're adding some color, but it's like he's doing all the sketches, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Okay, so I don't think I said this. Kenny challenged... I don't really understand this. Kenny said that he wants Takeshita's international belt. And then he was like, Ospreay, do you have something to say? And Ospreay was like, yeah. I'm going to fight Kyle Fletcher in a cage match. And that's going to be really fun. And it will be really fun. I can't wait to see that. The thing with the international belt, though, I think I just missed something.
No, it's not that. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And everybody's pointing out that it makes no sense. Kenny announced, I'm going to fight Takeshita for the belt. But before, Takeshita has to fight a gauntlet of challengers first, which doesn't make sense because typically people have to fight a gauntlet to challenge the belt holder.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. Also, I found it very insulting that CageMatch.com has already listed Takeshita versus Kenny at Revolution. I'm like, you could pretend.
You're right. Protect the business. God.
It really doesn't. Even right now, I'm not able to make this work in my mind, but who cares? I don't care. So basically, all you need to know that you already know, because you probably watched the program, is that Orange Cassidy fought Roddy in the first match of the International Championship Series, which will be a 2-match series, I believe.
Yeah, when you're describing it's like, so Takeshi has the belt, so OC and Roddy are fighting. Like, okay.
Yeah. This all checks out. No worries. And so on Dynamite this week, Adam Cole, Roddy, and Kyle O'Reilly had a backstage promo with Renee, where Roddy said that he feels like he and OC are, quote, destined to dance forever.
I loved that because Roddy, the vibe was kind of like Roddy was like, I was listening to a podcast and people were talking about wrestling soulmates. And I'd like to have that. So me and OC are wrestling soulmates. And like OC's like, what? What now?
He said,
Roddy, was it?
He was thinking, he said, they just said find someone and stand near them. So that probably apply here too.
He's trying to invent, like, Roddy's like, and you know, of course, the people hunger to see us face off again because our rivalry was so electric. And we're like, okay, Roddy.
Everyone's like, Roddy, no one has ever hungered to see you. I'm sorry.
Right, yeah, Roddy, people are occasionally astonished at how much they can enjoy you when you show up when they didn't really want you to. I guess that's just our experience of Roddy, but it is a pretty profound experience. He acknowledged, he was like, I know that, Kyle, I know you're friends with OC, but I will have to destroy him. I'm sorry about that. And Kyle was like, totally. Yeah. No worries about that. Kyle was on, he, like Will Ospreay, was on such a face journey during this promo. I don't know. It's like when OC comes up, he gets weird.
He gets so weird. It was so funny when he was like, yeah, you and OC are like friends. And he was like, well, it's not really a friendship. It's a whole lifestyle. It's kind of like, it's a
what
state
is
of
the
mind.
conglomeration? We conglomerate. It's a lifestyle. What do you mean?
What does that mean?
It's like, is it a sex club?
It made it sound like a sex club for sure.
It's like,
We conglomerate. It's a lifestyle. It's a gay lifestyle.
Let's not get into all that right now on screen, Adam. But, Adam Cole looked really, really mad, and he sniffed a lot, which is his thing he does when he's being like a mad boy. He goes, and yeah. So then they did fight later in the show, and OC won, and we had some comedy bits throughout. Any thoughts on some of the stuff that happened in the match?
Again, like, I loved Kyle getting so weird where, like, there was a point where OC came off the apron and was like, they hugged, and they hugged in the weirdest possible way. They hugged like, you ever see like two little kids like hugging at preschool, and they hug with like somehow their whole bodies?
Or as we can now say, they conglomerate.
Maybe that's what they mean.
That's what they mean.
We hugged pretty weird over there.
And then Adam Cole came around the corner and was like disapprovingly clucking at them. Like, I was like, this is perfect. I do
And
love
then
this.
OC like turned and saw Adam Cole and then made like the funniest face and turned away with like shielding his face from Adam Cole's. And then Kyle made like a weird like shrug, like, what are you gonna do?
Actually, I think that OC might have won the Mommy's Little Ham Award this week for that face. Especially because you remember when that really dark time where the Bucks were off TV for no fucking reason because they got suspended because of CM Punk using the Castle Doctrine. And when they came back, Nick was like absolutely insane and like clearly was just like, I love to wrestle. I need to wrestle. I can't believe I didn't get to wrestle. Now I'm wrestling again. And I'm absolutely crazy. This has been one of the longest, and it wasn't that long, but it's one of the longest periods that OC's been off TV for quite a while. And he came back with that same deranged energy of just like, 100%. I love doing my comedy bits. I love being in the ring. I love doing my wrestling. It's like, I miss it.
Yeah, you really got the sense that he was not thriving at home.
I live to work.
Yeah, like he was so energetic in the ring. He was, I mean, he's always like good at wrestling, but it was just like through the roof. And then this hug battle, because then Roddy had to hug Kyle, and then OC had to hug him again. And
do you think he's over his depression now? He's just
I hope not.
He came out in light denim and with Jane, so it's like I don't know what's going on with him.
New shirt that I didn't entirely understand.
I don't. I think it was his hands or something
On a copier.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe they were just having some fun at one of the venues. That does seem like something he and Dustin would have been getting up to. They're like, this is a funny idea.
This is a T-shirt. Tony, get the sunglasses and a thumb. Yeah.
You know, anything OC says, Tony's like, yeah, okay, yeah, you can have that T-shirt.
Yeah. Like OC calls Tony up from home and he's like, I can't do it anymore. I need to be on TV every week or else I'm going insane. And Tony was like, all right, well, you're gonna fight Roddy for the international belt.
Yeah, he's like, we'll have a tournament. How many weeks till Revolution? Okay, it'll be a short tournament. We can get you in there, bud. We get a little event for you. They're always happy to see my son. I would love if someday we got a little more follow through on some of the character stuff that he's very good at keeping up character beats while they're not being paid off, but then they really don't usually ever get paid off ever.
Yeah.
No.
So.
Well, it's like the thing with OC kind of being like corrupted by the belt that we were talking about. They could have paid off in like a win that was actually a loss. Like that Trent turn like could have played into that, but of course Trent gets injured every time they try to pay off any best friends beats, and so here we are.
His damn fragile body.
Damn you, Greg, you're not going to be winning the March Best Bod Award. I'll tell you that. And it's not because it doesn't
aesthetically
look
good.
Yeah.
Functionally.
I'm like, now I just realized, I'm like, oh, we can ding them for functionality.
Oh, that'd be fun. Yeah. People get excited. We're going to come out with our brackets for the Best Bod tournament next week. So
We'll be bracketing on air next week. So look forward to that. So after OC won the match, I guess we could say this. How many minutes into this app are we? We're like done, right?
90 minutes, yeah.
90 fucking minutes. Okay, well, we can't talk about Adam Cole right now, but I will just say he's really been working on his muscles, and they're very evident, and it's not like what I prefer really, but it's fine.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, he like really wants to have muscles. That's okay.
It seems like he went through a breakup and the internet is really getting to him, and he's like, I can have biceps, you guys, you'll see them. You'll see how good my muscles can be. Your body was fine before.
Your body was totally fine. I didn't really need these muscles. And I don't really like when he just stands around looking like serious and angry. It's I don't know what is, especially when it's like, you're a face right now? I can't hold it in my mind.
I can't.
No, it doesn't make sense that he's a face. I do like him standing around and being angry right now when the things that he's angry about is Kyle daring to be weird. Because I've now onboarded a theory that Adam Cole is force normalizing Kyle, and it has like he wants to set up like a little buzzer thing, and then when Kyle gets weird, he buzzes him
like a shot collar. Like every time Kyle makes one of those little conglomeration faces, he's like, "Stop it! Look normal."
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, I'd buy it.
Wow. Well, yeah. I think I misheard that as I'd buy it. Like, and then I was like a porn of it? And my brain really glitched. Like, what you said was so normal, and what I thought was so normal.
Yeah, I'd buy a porn of it for sure. I mean, I would, but
I mean,
what I meant,
sell it
not salaciously, just just to
anthropologically,
see what's happening in there in the force normalizing community. Okay. Wow, gosh, what's happening? After Orange Cassidy won, Tony Schiavone came out for an in-ring interview with him, and we got excited because we were like, our child is being allowed to talk. He's so special. But before he had a chance to say anything, Don Callis' music hit, and Don Callis, Takeshita, and Mark Davis came out, and Don Callis called OC...
red-headed hippie.
Yes, you're nothing but a red-headed hippie. Which is the funniest thing I've said about. I love someone playing into. He has that hair where when he gets so pink, and so he does always look like a little ginger, but he's not.
He's not.
And not really a hippie.
Not
either.
a hippie.
Not at all. No. not at all.
Not his vibe. No, looks like a guy who'd had an office job. Yeah.
And it really just goes to show that if you just say things confidently, anything you say confidently, it'll either be true or it'll be a hilarious joke.
Yeah.
So then he got a very special treat, which was 3 men came and beat him up, which was what he wanted. He said, I'm back on TV, and the more men you can send, the better. And Toni was like, again, it is short notice, but I can probably get the Callis family out of there.
It's like, doesn't really make sense, but Kenny will be in the mix, so.
Yeah, that's perfect. And we'll just, they're not all at work this week, but yeah, we can get some of them out there for sure. And so Mark Davis and Takeshita and Don Callis beat OC up, and Mark Davis seemed perfectly happy to be doing it, so I guess he loves being evil. I don't know. I don't think there's anything more to it than that, perhaps.
Doing some bad storytelling.
Yeah, not ideal. And Kenny ran out for the save. He also got beaten up a little bit. Eventually, OC and Kenny successfully double 1-2 punched Takeshita, double teamed him out of the ring. And he left so fast that he forgot his beautiful belt. So Kenny picked up the belt, and he looked at the belt, and OC looked at the belt, and then they looked at each other. And then they exchanged the funniest little, it was just like normal work colleague looking. It just looked like when I'm talking to someone in Teams and just being like, and did you turn that thing in? Oh, okay, yeah, that's great.
It was a little bit like they might have thought they were off the air already kind of thing.
Yeah.
I did really love that OC was staring at this belt because it's such continuity that OC really bonded with the international belt specifically. He doesn't really care about any other belt, but he loves this belt. This was his belt. If this belt turned into a person, he would have a wrestling wedding with the belt.
Yeah. God, I wish I could see that.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe that. I've onboarded that immediately. And in fact, sometimes he dreams about that. Right. If he hears that Jay White is a belt, he's going to be so pissed because he's going to be like, that should have happened to me. That should have happened to my belt. That should be a person.
Someone tells it to him you're not going to believe this at all, but I've figured out that Jay White is actually the men's world championship belt that's come to life. And OC is just like, why didn't the international belt come to life? And they're like, but what do you mean? You're not going to believe it, I said. And he's like, I believe it. Why wasn't it the international belt? What do you think the international belt would look like if it came to life?
I bet it'd be beautiful.
I bet it would be
more
so
beautiful than Jay White. I bet it would look so good.
He's like, if the international belt came to life, it would be my tag team partner.
Belt.
And he's just he's in the lobby talking to himself, and Chuck Taylor is there being like, what is happening with you? I'm trying to ask where you want to go to dinner. It's just it would be the most beautiful belt in the world, and we'd be tag team partners, and we'd fight together forever.
And Dustin's like, I'm sorry, did you say if the international belt became a person?
She's like, you wouldn't understand. He has a dream journal, but he only writes down dreams that he has about the international belt.
But he has them every night, so.
Has them every night. I liked OC and Kenny having a little interaction. I liked that they had a kind of a vibe of we are going to have to fight for this belt, but there was a little vibe of but we're allies in this moment, and I have some respect for you.
Yeah.
So it's rich. And
I wish that this wasn't heading towards, I'm going to enjoy Kenny, no,
Takeshita.
No, it's not going to be.
No, OC's going to fight Takeshita.
I suddenly had a moment where I was like, and Kenny and OC will fight. No, they're not going to.
No, that's the thing we won't
I wish that this whole situation was being drawn out more, because I actually would fucking love a little temporary faction of OC, Kenny, and Ospreay.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
so blonde and so beautiful.
Oh, and I was immediately upset. I'm just imagining Ospreay backstage, watching on the monitor, looking brow furrowed, just why aren't they? They're not mad at each other. They're looking at each other, kind of not kind of nice. Kenny might like him, he might like him more than me, but he's my friend. He's my friend. And then when Kenny, in this scenario, it's Kenny's just we're going to team up with OC for a while, and Ospreay just looks like, what the fuck? And he's I guess Kenny wants it, so I have to go along with it. But
Will Ospreay's like, I wish we'd had a conversation about opening up the friendship before he just brought OC in.
He's just like whispering to OC. He's like, he'll never like you more than me. I go to the bathroom.
If Ospreay was like subtly bullying OC behind Kenny's back, like
OC doesn't notice. He's just busy thinking about his belt.
He's daydreaming about the belt. He's daydreaming about going on dates with his human belt.
Ospreay's like, Kenny will never like you more than me, and OC's like, yeah? Anyway, if the belt was a person.
If the belt was a person, where would we go first? Maybe we'd go to a trampoline park. That would be fun. Kenny's the only, and this has never been true of Kenny before, he's the only normal person.
And Kenny's a little uncomfortable. Like, at some point, that's the reason that he ends up turning on them, where he's like, I can't be the normal one in the faction.
It's like every time he just tries to have a conversation about, like, what they want to do tonight, suddenly it's all, if the international belt was a person, and Ospreay begging him to say who he likes better. He's like, guys,
Kenny, let's go out to a steakhouse, and then you'll chew the steak, and then you'll spit it into my mouth.
Kenny was born to be the Matthew McConaughey, but they're forcing him to be the Woody Harrelson.
You know how Kenny cut that promo when he came back to AEW TV, where he was like, that old Kenny was so obsessed with all this like weird stuff, and like he wanted to be powerful and get revenge and stuff. That's not me anymore. I'm actually like normal and in control of myself now, and I just want to wrestle like a normal guy. This is a storyline where having to be the normal one while they're both being weird leads to him having a break where he's just like, I can't do this. I forgot. I'm a fucking weirdo. I'm the fucking weirdo. I'm the weirdest guy in the company. I'm going to be weird. I'm going to do weird stuff. I'm not hanging out with either of you anymore. Well, that's free idea. One of our classic free ideas. Do you want to talk about any of this other stuff? I mean, it's good stuff, but we've been here for a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe just the one
Talk
thing.
about it next week.
Let's just flag, though, that one that Brian Cage had that backstage promo, and his hair and his beard look like really nice and normal.
Yeah.
Like, he looks great.
So cute.
Mm-hmm.
And his arm in the camp, I don't know if it's like forced perspective or something. It's just like, what is your body? That arm is like 12 feet wide. It's the biggest arm there's ever been.
It definitely did not look proportionate.
No, I do think there's something going on with the angle, like a Hobbit situation, but also his arms are crazy.
And Lance Archer is right there, and he also is an enormous man and has huge arms, but somehow Brian Cage's, I'm looking at a screenshot of it, Brian Cage's arm looks like 5 times wider.
Yeah, well, Lance Archer's arm is very large, but it looks like it could attach to his body, where, like, Brian Cage looks like he's wearing some kind of push-up shirt. But for his
push-up
arm.
bra for his arm. Amazing. These are the products for men that we don't know about, like the ball deodorant.
Right. It's like, I assume...
Oh my God.
And, you know, because of my humility, I'm not going on a rant about how dangerous it is to wear a push-up bra for your arm.
No, but this has been a wake-up call for me. I'm like, wow, I have to accept that maybe he's wearing a push-up bra for his arm. It's a product I don't know about, and maybe I shouldn't be talking about it like I know what's going on. So men, you let me know what brand of bra you think he has on his arm. I guess. I don't know everything. Was there anything you wanted to say that you didn't get a chance to say?
No, I think it was a good one. Guys, do you think this episode was good?
I hope it was.
I hope so. We've really run the gamut of things. Yeah.
I think I said, what are we talking about more often than statistically I usually do, which could be a good or bad thing, depending on whether you like the stuff we talked about instead of wrestling. Like our idea for the figging stable off an ice hockey rink for professional hockey playing. And on that note, I've been Allie.
I've been in.
And I've been Leah.
This is, God, it's Tunnel Talk. Our theme is by Chris Corkin. You can find us on Twitter, Tumblr, and Twitch at Tunnel Talk Pod, via email, tunneltalkpod@gmail.com. We have merch now. You can find it at chop-tees.com. gmail.com. You can find us on our feed. You can find us on the Social Suplex Network feed, along with a lot of other amazing podcasts. You can find us on the Social Suplex Network Discord, where maybe we will post some of the Face Journey screen caps that I pulled. Please rate, review, and subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can't help but stay frosty at this time of year. And as always, please come back next week.
Yeah, sure thing.
Hey, you sold that car yet?
Yeah, sold it to Carvana.
Oh, I thought you were selling to that guy.
The guy who wanted to pay me in foreign currency, no interest, over 36 months? Yeah, no. Carvana gave me an offer in minutes, picked it up, and paid me on the spot. It was so convenient.
Just like that.
Yeah?
No hassle.
None.
That is super convenient.
Sell your car to Carvana and swap hassle for convenience. Pickup fees may apply.
All you homeowners have unique needs. Some feel the need to leave up holiday decorations year-round. Others have the need to use their garage as practice space for their new metal band. And because each homeowner has unique needs, Geico helps you get the right coverage for your home and what's in it. That way, you get exactly what's right for you, even if your needs are unique. Get more with Geico.